Please space that. All right, recording in progress. Okay, hello, everybody. This is Rob Benchley. It's Monday, October 18th, 2021, and this is the weekly meeting of the Sconset Advisory Board for the HDC. I call this meeting to order, and members, when I call your name, please respond. Angus McLeod.
Here.
Thank you. Clement Durkis.
Here.
Thank you. Mary Lathrop Will.
Here.
Thank you. Rob Benchley is here. Caroline Ellis could not attend. Okay, with that, I will take a motion for the adoption of the agenda as displayed with
So move.
Okay, thank you.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you, everybody. The chair notes that item number 1 is not being considered today because we don't have the view pack. Okay, so we'll go to item number 2, which is not that. Oops, there we are. This is the moved barn that is no longer the moved barn. And further down is this is the one with the pool. And here's
Excuse me, Mr. Chair, we're not seeing that. I'm still just saying the whatever you call it, meeting posting.
Uh-oh.
We've just got the agenda, Rob. Thanks.
Okay. You're not seeing that? Okay. Okay, let me try this again. What's that?
You.
There we go.
Thank you.
There we go. Okay. Every day is different. So we're familiar with this. This is what was the barn and is no longer and has now been very much redone. I haven't shown I had to rotate this whole thing because all the other drawings are going the other way. So if you need to see,
that, Rob.
Yeah, it's all right. I mean, that's the way it fits on there. So.
Out of curiosity, what
Yeah.
is the percentage of
Oh, there we are.
increase to the square footage of this house as compared to the house that we've previously been considering?
Hold on one second.
It looks pretty similar.
So on the first floor, we added 340 square feet. So what we've done, if you go back to the first floor, Rob, please. We included a bedroom where before the structure didn't have a bedroom. Now, because my client has arthritis really bad in a lot of ways, she's not able to get up and down stairs as easy as she like. So we're planning for the future that someday she's not going to be able to get up those stairs. So we've decided to just have a bedroom on the first floor. And that's what added 12 feet of length to this building. And then the other part of the revision is we added 2 bedrooms upstairs for their daughters. And that's the only change.
So it went from a no bedroom house to a 3-bedroom house?
No, it had a bedroom on the second floor, and now we've added 2 more bedrooms to the structure. And then so that changed it from a single story to a story and a half. And what we did is, instead of having the gable like we had before closest to the street, we removed it to the east side of the lot. And
Right.
we only raised that gable by 3.5 feet from the existing structure's height of the
Oh,
barn.
I saw an indication that it was 5 feet higher.
And I'm just saying from the gable facing the street and the west elevation, that's 3 feet, 3.5 feet taller than the old 1850s barn. But yes, overall, you are correct. That
5.
main
yeah.
ridge is 5 feet, correct. And that's why we push that to the east, so as far back as possible from Bunker Hill
Yeah.
Road.
No, I think that's an improvement.
Yes.
But overall, it's what, 20, 23 something?
Yeah.
Yes, correct. Yep.
Okay. Uh-oh.
And what I wanted to do is, you know, the owners do own next door, but make this the cottage and try and, you know, stay within the 22, 23 foot height. Just going forward, even though it's on its own independent lot, I wanted to look more like a cottage to the main house. And on that bird's eye view, you can see the foundation of their main house. Yes, perfect.
And so that's, oh, that's the east. Yeah, yeah. Okay. So that's not facing the street. That's in the back. Interesting.
Right, that's facing the fence, which has gone up. It's
Yes.
how far from the fence is this? Just 5 feet, I would assume?
6.
Uh-oh.
Right, because a standard stairwell is what, 3 feet, and you've got the stairs going down to the basement. So at one point, there's a passageway between the basement stairs and the fence that's probably 3 feet wide.
Correct. And we had that large area well, and we made it much smaller, just made it an access stairway, just so they can get furniture or bikes, you know, winter storage.
Right, so 3 feet at least.
Correct. Yeah.
Well, I do like having the access stairwell on the east side. That is preferable, but it looks to me as if you've got egress windows on the west side. So in fact, at some point, they could have bedrooms in the basement, I would assume.
Yeah, then, so we're not sure what we're gonna do, but I always like to add windows, egress windows, whether it's a playroom or whether it's a rec room. I mean, right now I have, you know, swings set up in my basement for my daughters to play, but I always want to have a second means of egress. I don't know if it's a fatherly thing or, but it's just something I always like to do in basements, even if they're not going to use, you know, for bedrooms or some program. I'd like to have a second means of egress out of a basement.
Right, good idea.
I mean,
Yeah.
I had a friend on Center Street pass away because he couldn't get out of a basement, and this was in the 85. So
Oh, that's awful.
yeah,
And how deep is this basement? 12 feet?
no, 9, 10 foot.
Okay.
Anybody have any comments? I feel like this is a nice compact treatment.
I'm just absorbing it all.
Yeah.
So start off with the idea of a moved barn. And so the the low eave and the garage doors sort of fit with the barn idea. And it being close to the street. As soon as the gable goes in and the front door goes in, then it's making me think this is the facade and there's a garage door flush with it, which isn't jiving for me. It's I feel like there are conflicted thoughts here about, is it a garage? Is it a barn? Is it a house? Certainly on a barn, there wouldn't be a balcony and all the French doors. And I guess my concern is that it's so close to the street, there just isn't any buffer. And I wouldn't ever put a window well, on the street side. I like that the stair has moved around to the back. I think that was one of our recommendations.
It
I like
was.
that the higher mass is pushed back. I think that's a good idea, but the reverse gable that comes forward is, I think, imposing that close to the street. I'd almost rather the parallel gable be closer to the street so that the eave is lower on the street. But I guess the biggest thing for me is really that the conflict of house or barn, garage door next to front door, the sort of the freestandingness of the porch roof with the balcony and all the French doors and the folding doors. That's tricky with the hedge, even if you've got a 6 foot wide or thick hedge, that loses leaves. And this is what you'll see unless there's a board fence in that front separation from the street, you'll see the French doors, you'll see the pool, and the open balcony. So those are red flags for me, as far as guidelines.
Mr. Chair, one sec. I have to provide evergreens along Bunker Hill all along so that if the leaves drop, there'll still be evergreens on the inside of the lot. So privet to the street side and evergreens on the inside. So will be, screened into perpetuity.
Okay,
You've got room for evergreens. This is Clement. This feels like this is not really a pool house. It is definitely a cottage. I think you're trying to say it's a secondary dwelling. But it certainly feels to me like a whole house going on that lot, which it is. I mean, it's got everything a house has: 3 bedrooms, garage. I agree with Angus that it seems to be a hodgepodge. You can't decide if you're a pool house or a guest house or a garage. You're everything all in one. And I once again feel as if we could possibly get pools covered in the square footage, this would be much too much for that lot. I assume you've done all how big your house can be versus a lot, but it's a lot of house to me. It does not seem secondary to the main dwelling, or secondary to the dwelling next to it. So it seems like a major house right there on the corner, and not just one road, 2 roads, because it's a corner. That's a lot to be seen from both Bunker Hill and New Street.
okay.
And I think we also talked about the picket fence, because there's a closing picket type 2-gate fence right at the garage entrance. We also talked about they're putting wire fencing all around the property, it seems, in addition to the hedge and the evergreens, I guess you're saying.
Correct.
Speaking of fences, I'm not seeing a break for the front door, how that works.
All right. Trying to get there. There we go.
Maybe that's because the front door really faces the pool. And this door is not really a front door. Which is why we're confused about who we are, this little building.
Well,
Which is
John
not-
McLaughlin likes to have a door face a street, so that's for John McLaughlin and the HPC. So I get I understand what you guys are saying, but that is why that was introduced on that elevation.
Is there not a break in the hedge or a path to the door?
It's by the garage door, but we could put a gate there if that's what you want. But right now, 90% of the traffic would be coming from the parking area and then traversing into the house that way. That's the way the owners want to use the house. But I mean, I was just on Back Street in downtown Nantucket, and there was a door, and you walked 20 feet down parallel to the street to get to the front door. There was no direct access gate. And right across the street, there was another one, and I was looking at another one with Linda Williams, and I came up with the street address. So it is not a typical feature on Nantucket, but it is a feature on Nantucket. So I didn't feel like it was out of place.
I didn't know whether that was just something that didn't happen in the drawing, or if it really was that you would go alongside between the hedge and the house to get to the front door.
Yeah, that's the way my
you.
clients want to use it.
There is another fence I just saw that's right on Bunker Hill, but it's nowhere near it's right at the edge of both properties. There's a little gate.
Correct.
On the south side of the pool.
On
right?
the other side. Yeah, on the other side, right there. Little gate.
Yeah.
And I know that there is some connection between the two houses. There's an opening even right now that goes between the houses, but I don't see that on this plot.
Okay.
I think you have an old site plan because there was a gate there. Sorry, my apologies.
Okay, great. Any other comments from anybody? Not hearing anybody. Joe, thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. Take care.
Yep.
Oh, wait, I should ask Caroline where the pool equipment is.
Caroline's not, yeah, right. Where is?
So I should just stand in for her. and
All
say,
right.
Where's the pool equipment? Another question. Thank you.
Seeing
Okay.
it.
I will put that in the notes. Sorry.
There might be just enough room on the 6-foot side between the hardboard fence and the side of the house, the living room side.
Yeah. Okay, everybody, thank you. Should we move on to 3 Elbow Lane?
Oh, yeah, this is back to the Pinsons. We looked at this, what, a year ago almost?
Yeah.
Longer
And,
than that, yeah.
And,
I
and
think it was longer because I have never seen this before. So when it said it was approved, I had never seen it. So that,
A long time ago, they were basically developing a basement and then changing the deck structure on the outside a bit. I think
Yeah,
it's a more subtle deck structure now than that which exists.
and they're getting rid of that huge stairway.
Yeah,
The long stairway that goes to the east
Yeah.
is, I think it's just a vast improvement to eliminate that,
I agree.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
to make it more compact and sort of in the corner of the two decks, the east deck and the
what, yeah.
southeast deck.
Yeah, it's much more subtle. They've just, yeah, I mean, they're getting good space under the house. And they're making use of the bank in a more subtle treatment. The house will look less, yeah. It's more compact.
And so I believe, this is Rob, I believe this is primarily just
Windows.
right now is this little powder room they want to put on.
Oh, yeah, that's fine. I don't think that doesn't change much.
And it's
Looks like there is a west elevation already. Oh, I see. It just bumps it out a
Yeah.
foot and a half or so.
yeah, and it's inside a gigantic fence.
Yeah, you really want to see that. It looked to me as if the window changes were changing from double hungs to what exactly? I was unclear.
Well, I don't see any, what is that on the application? The reason I'm scrolling
Yeah.
all around here, this drawing is really, I mean, this application is so big, so I'm trying to avoid.
New 9-light basement door. That's not a big deal. Provide adds existing, no. Huh. I
So
thought
it's
that
the-
for window changes, at least that was what it looked like on the drawings to me. Looked like they were getting rid of the double hungs for a
No,
different form of window. Well, let's take a look at the window schedule.
it's, I didn't want to be doing this because of what's happening right now.
Oh, because once you move it, then it starts squirreling all over the place?
Yeah.
Well, they've
Yeah.
got double windows now, and it looks to me on the proposed.
Well, there's,
Okay, proposed east. No, those are still double hungs.
Yeah, I think it really is just the
The
powder.
number 4 window downstairs maybe is, or the 9-light door downstairs, which looks fine.
Yeah. It took me a while to find the red circled thing, but that's all I can tell it's on there is that, there it is. See, way down at the bottom.
That seems,
Is that door changing it? Or is that just so that the red isn't blocking out the view of the door?
Well, it does say new
Kitchen
kitchen door.
door?
room addition, yeah.
But it looks like what's already there, right?
yeah,
Yes, it does. Whoop, stop it. Pretty close.
Yeah, 9-light with 2 panels is what
Yeah,
was already approved
yes.
and what's existing. So it's just the bump out of that powder room. I don't have any concerns with this. I think it's actually an improvement.
I do too.
I don't have any concerns either, but all right, there it is right there. So right here is the existing wall. See where the cursor's doing that thing? And then they're gonna bump it out here.
Good. What a good idea.
Yeah. Quite a project. All right. I can find the agenda. We can move to our next item, which is, let's see, this is everything that's on the agenda, and we there's a zoning article that's being developed, I believe, for Sconset. Clement may know more and more about it, but it basically is taking the planning board and approached the Sconset Trust some ideas about restricting the building height in some of our central zoning districts to 25 feet. I think the area plan recommendation was for 24, but planning board said 25 is sort of their typical number. And the trust wanted to, and I think we should have some input on it to discuss what we think, which districts would be 25. Would it be in special overlay district? Would it be in R1 only? Would it be, or SOH1? And really, this is just a opportunity to get the conversation going and the any concerns and anything. And I'm happy that we've been asked to talk about it. When you do, and I just start off by saying, when you do a change like this, you get reaction right away, and people try to get in under the wire and build a 30-foot house in a place you were trying to not have a 30-foot house.
Mhm.
And also that might give, in terms of Codfish Park, maybe we could exclude Codfish Park from that, if there's a way to do it. I would hate to think that 25 feet would be, quote, allowable in Codfish Park, and we could be shooting ourselves in the foot. So just some things to think about. And I've been trying to find the core zoning map, and I haven't been able to come up with it to make it work here, but does anybody have any thoughts about this? I mean, currently it's, I guess the real height is 30, and of course the HDC and the SAB and most area plans, I mean, most neighborhood advisory boards, the 30 foot is the real limit, but it's taken on a case by case basis. So
I think the HDC has been put in a difficult position many times because of the 30-foot
yeah,
limit, when most of the time 25 or less is more appropriate. So I'm certainly in favor of lowering that height. I mean, it's up to us to advise the HDC when something isn't appropriate for 30 feet, and then it's the HDC's responsibility to decide whether zoning is allowable in that area, or if it's more appropriate to have something less than 30 feet. But I think unless it's some very large building or old hotel or something, 30 feet feels large for Sconset.
Yeah.
So I'd certainly be in favor of that.
And a little bit of background on this, the trust was approached by planning and zoning committees. They want to do a warrant establishing these heights, and they wanted support from the community, from the civic association and the trust. It does seem to me that when you are specifying a height, people would say, oh, great, I can go up to that. And the point was 25 in SOH and 30 everywhere else. We, of course, as we all know, have lots of varying neighborhoods that should not go up to 30 feet. So I don't know what we should say in response to this. And SOH is Codfish Park now. It is Pachick Street, and you'll remember that the zoning and planning wanted to extend SOH all the way to Burnell Street, and Bunker Hill, and get rid of SR1, which was not approved. So I think there's one way to say that it's a rule, and one way to just, like Angus says, try to treat each place individually and say that's not appropriate. So I don't know where to go with this. So that's why it's been presented to the SAB.
Yeah, thank you, Clement. Yeah, that's tough. You know, we've seen it year after year for many decades where you make a proposed change and then people get their plans in under the wire. And that's what happened on Old South Road when there was a septic system regulation that was being discussed, and the people that owned all the land on the north side of Old South Road put in a zillion subdivisions of pork chop lots, and that was a reaction to a restrictive Board of Health thing. And you know, it set a stick of dynamite under it, and that's how all that happened. So I mean, because there is that, once the public hearings start for any zoning article, people can make their preliminary plans before, you know, once you get your preliminary plan in, then you can do it because it becomes pre-existing.
Rob, are you suggesting that if this is enacted or accepted, that there would be a rush for people trying to get 30-foot tall houses?
I'm just suggesting that could be a possibility,
Yeah.
you know, and that's been some of the stuff too, I think. I don't know for a fact, but it seems like with the whole swimming pool thing, but people are getting their swimming pools in before they don't allow swimming pools anymore
Yeah.
in certain districts. So, I mean, it would, I think overall it would be really nice to have a height thing, especially in the current conditions of maxing out everything right
I
away.
agree.
So if it's in place, well, that's good. And so a backup would be the SAB or the HDC to try to tone it back if 25 is too tall in some places, which it definitely is. So.
Yeah, I think that could possibly be added, that this is, you know, and everything will be looked at individually on a case-by-case basis.
Yeah, that would be a great clause to include. And if it's going to be going this way, then I would suggest that we make sure that that's a part of it.
Yeah.
And so that people know beforehand that it's still subject to the ideas of building with Nantucket and Sconset in mind, and Wauwinet and Quidnet and everywhere else.
Mhm.
You know.
So would the statement be something like, it is the rare building that should exceed the maximum height of 25 feet, building with Nantucket and Sconset in mind, generally limits building height to 20 to 25 feet. We emphasize that certain neighborhoods are really 1.5-story building, or that 1.5-story buildings are most appropriate. I mean, for example, Tawadi Lane, where I am, nothing should be higher than 1.5 stories.
Right.
And so that's what, 20 feet, 22 feet max? But we're not in historic district. And so somebody could conceivably come along here and decide they're going to have a 30-foot tall building, which would be a monstrosity on a 5,000 square foot lot.
Right.
Well, I was going to say on Pochick Street and Lily and Evelyn, all the Underhill cottages are 14, 15 feet tall. So,
Oh.
I mean,
Yeah. So if they are,
so it would be ridiculous to have something 20 feet tall, let alone 25 or 30.
right.
So, and yeah, to Clement's point, every block, every neighborhood is different in Sconset, and some things are appropriate, completely appropriate in some areas and completely not appropriate in others. So it really is case by case basis. So if we're not risking too much by a surge of putting further limitation on it. If we can get over the hump, then there'll be, a limitation that helps keep scale down in Sconset.
Well,
Yeah.
another thing that the trust is authorized is we are doing a survey of Sconset neighborhoods and trying to establish what is appropriate in each neighborhood. And I'm sure height will be included in that. I just worry, well, I'm not quite sure why they want to do this, except they love to simplify things. So if we've got the supposed simplification that 25 feet is allowed in certain neighborhoods and then 30 feet allowed in others, that's really well exceeding where we think the height should be. So I don't, as I say, I'm just a little hesitant about this whole, one size does not fit all in Sconset, that's for sure.
Agreed.
Yeah. Excellent point.
So I think we're kind of leery of this sort of regulation. It doesn't sound like a good plan. It sounds like, you're creating rules that are actually going to end up having the opposite effect from what you want.
Well, I think perhaps they want to do it because there is no height restriction. I don't believe there is a height restriction in Sconset. I think we technically said 24 feet, but then there was a problem with that because that doesn't meld with their other height, lower density, not lower density, but lower elevations homes on the whole island maybe would fit better with 25 instead of 24. I'm just not sure where.
I will make another point, and that is that height of the building has a lot to do with size of the property on which the building is sitting. For example, if we take Joe Topham's house that replaced the little 300 square foot house down in Codfish Park, that house is now up and lit up like a Christmas tree. And it towers over the other house that's on the property and just takes all the air from the little house that's next door to it. It's monstrous, and it's 5 feet from the line because that's what's allowed. But it not only is tall like a dory barn,
Right.
but it also is a monolith with very little setback from the street or the adjacent neighbors.
Right. I think about like the Ocean House or some of the houses on Maury that are set back 50, 75 feet.
They're
There's
fine.
land and scale that
Yeah.
reduces it. But when you bring it to the minimum setbacks right up to the lot, then it changes it.
So that's maybe where we need to have some real watchfulness.
Yeah, and I don't think we should be singling any one particular project out, but in a sense, I mean, that's what we do, is to do it case by case, because that's built in. So do we need to have a 25 foot, have it written, or is it still sort of just the way it is? And hopefully the people who are on the boards can have the common sense to be able to tone it for the existing neighborhood. So we should have a conversation with somebody in the planning office. I don't know who's writing this or proposing it, or what their thinking is, and maybe that happens at the public hearing aspect. When they start having hearings about the zoning articles, maybe before then. I don't know if they're having any workshops or something, but we should definitely make them aware if it's being generated out of that office. We absolutely need to make them aware that we're concerned because of what it might spark. And also we reserve the our commission given right to be a part of the whole process nonetheless. The process of what the height's going to be from the design aspect.
Mhm.
And if we can get that in the article, you know, even though it's, that still would still exist, the fact that it's in writing makes people realize that there's yet another set of filters to go through. You just can't start it. You just can't build a 25-foot house just because that's the limit.
Mhm.
I mean, I'm just saying this just so we can be careful. So, because this stuff, you know, it gets challenged, and yeah, well, you had a whole special article about this and it said 25 feet and we demand 25 feet.
I was just going to say that, Rob, is if there's a new article and a new rule and people are abiding by that rule, yet are more people going to be who would have gone for 17, 18, 19, 20? Are they going to be going for 25 because that's the new rule?
Right, right. Yeah. So
I think this is, thank you for all this feedback. I think that will be very helpful in trying to parse out, figure out what this actually, what the goal of this is.
Yeah.
And how I feel now how we are reacting to it. So thank you.
great. Anybody else want to speak on this? If not, I will take a motion to accept our comments as spoken, and I will try to get everything in the notes. On the two
I'm
applications.
happy to make that motion. But before we close,
Yep.
can we just make note that we want to see 30 Main Street when available?
Yes.
And also, that they can't consider it at the HDC this week because we've not had a chance to review the view pack.
Sometimes they do look at it or they get it and they say, you know, what happened with Sconset Advisory or Historic Structures Advisory, and then they end up sending it to us. But, you know, if there's the huge backlog, who knows if it's queued up to show up tomorrow night or not? I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean, ideally, they get our feedback when they
Right.
review it for the very first time, but sometimes that doesn't happen just because of schedule and loopholes and stuff.
Yeah.
All right.
okay, well, I will ask Holly and Kadeem for that.
And
Well, I
then,
mean, just in our notes.
and what about the pool house for, it's listed as Main Street. It's actually, the location is really Bunker Hill. The pool house for Karen Urban's pool behind her Main Street house, so that's probably like 29 Main. I don't even, it would be an. Didn't
We
we see,
I haven't seen anything about that. I don't think.
I
Seen the
Awesome.
pool, but not the house.
Mary, did you see them on the agenda for HDC or something?
I did.
I asked for that yesterday. I think that was in my email to you
Yeah.
all. And I will inquire about that as well.
So it happens to be that it's on the property across the street from the Peterson 30 Main property.
That's right.
But I think that was also on the agenda,
Yeah. That,
and we,
that's, that,
I don't,
that's on the
I-
HGC agenda, and it's way down.
okay,
No, sorry, it was in the minutes. It showed up in the minutes, but it
from
was,
the
wait,
previous,
it, in the minutes from their last meeting,
and it had not been considered.
had not been considered.
Okay. Just as well, because we haven't seen it, I think.
And 37 Sankaty Road is actually 37 Sankaty Head Road.
Right. Yes, indeed.
Okay, excellent. Okay, so all those in favor for accepting our comments?
Aye.
Please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, thank you. And is this at the point where I take a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Okay, all right, all those in favor of adjournment, please say aye.
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 Great, aye, the ayes have it. Okay, thank you, everybody.
Thanks,
Bye.
Rob.
Thanks, Rob.
And
See you guys.
we'll see you next time.
See you next time.